Welcome to another episode of Treasure Corals. In today's video, we will talk about polyp extension. For those of you who are familiar with my YouTube channel, know that I've been keeping aquariums, primarily reef aquariums, for close to 15 years. And I've been through many phases together with the industry. We first were challenged by keeping corals, or at least I was. First, it was the easy ones. You just wanted to make sure that you can not have them die in your aquarium. Same applies to fish. Then you focus on having vibrancy in your coral, and then you start going with maybe a little bit more difficult corals. For the longest time, I could not even keep torches. It took me a while to really figure out what the torches like and what to look for. Now, the next frontier for me is polyp extension in my Acropora corals. So if you are looking at ways to boost polyp extension in your aquarium, then this is the video for you, and I invite you on this journey. Now, let's start from the beginning. What is polyp extension and why people get so hung up on it? Well, first of all, it is a sign of a healthy coral, and it is something that is actually very pleasantly appealing to the eye. We enjoy scrolling through Instagram and seeing other videos of coral, and it just screams that this particular SPS coral or Acropora in our case is nice and healthy. There's quite a few great Instagram accounts to follow, and same applies to YouTube. There's quite a few YouTubers out there that exhibit this. And for the longest time, I think my polyp extension was sometimes all right, sometimes not so great. I have multiple aquariums, and in some I see this better than the other. And I've been trying to really figure out what I can do tangible to get this to the level where I want it to go. And since I'm quite technical in nature, I'm a programmer by trade. I've created an app called Aquatic Log, and same for the website. I try to solve these problems in a little bit more of a structured approach. Unfortunately, everything that I've been reading and researching so far is very anecdotal. I've talked to quite a few reefers out there, and I got so many sometimes contradicting accounts for what could be the reason. Some say you want high nutrient because I have high nutrient, and some say it's low nutrient, and the polyps will extend to try and grasp food. So which one do you follow? And some folks say that this has to do all with the flow. Some say it's because of the lighting or feeding. You have to feed more. And I find that also same as for corals in general, for husbandry. I think it's very dependent on the person that keeps an aquarium. For example, in my aquariums, I've always had fairly low nitrates and high phosphates. Just it has always been the case. I've never in all of those years have experienced an issue of high nitrates, and I don't attribute it to just one particular thing. It's just what worked for me, and it has to do with just maybe those little things that I do with my husbandry, coral husbandry. And I think maybe the polyp extension a little bit has to do with this. And in today's video, we will break down all the different aspects. I'm actually going to go through, I think, every item that I have thought of that I want to tackle to address the polyp extension. And then I want to try and formulate a plan for how I will apply those rules in my aquarium and try to actually get something tangible. So if you're watching this video and right now it's March 2025, and let's say 6 months from now, I have a tank that has great polyp extension. Hopefully, going through this and going through everything I document will help you with your aquarium, and finally put to rest some of those speculations on what is what. Now, let's start going through the list. I think first and foremost, we want to make sure that the species or the particular coral that you have, a frag or a colony, is healthy and that it has not already been jeopardized by either bad system or contamination. For example, things that heavy metal contamination that actually can stay in the system, and I think it can ruin the coral, but you won't really know it, and it's going to be already kind of damaged. And probably no matter what you can do, you will not be able to bring it back with some heavy contamination, and probably even with the bacteria. So first and foremost, get some quality coral that will come from a system where it was exhibiting the polyp extension. Now, the second is we can observe the coral, because the coral during daytime sometimes will close its polyps, but at nighttime there is a high chance that your coral will have some polyps out. Now, there is two types of polyps. There is radial and axial. So if you think of a polyp as like a little stick, then the ones that kind of coming out from the sides, these are radial polyps, and these are the ones that actually we kind of try to we get enamored by them on Instagram, and these are the ones that we want to see out there. This is our goal. But at night, what you will see, and I actually went to my aquarium at 3 o'clock in the morning, which was not a lot of fun. And then I would look at the coral with a flashlight, and you want something bright. You can actually see that from the tip, there's going to be a bunch of polyps. These are the axial polyps, and they're just going to be kind of waving in the water column, and it's supposedly it's feeding. Now, I will actually question this to a certain degree, and I'll explain why. I can actually mention it now. For example, when I did see this at 3 o'clock in the morning, I had some highly regarded oyster feast and some other liquid food that apparently SPS should love, and I actually dosed some in the aquarium, and guess what? Some of the polyps actually closed off. Now, you could argue that maybe they closed off because they were grabbing and feeding it, but I don't know. Do you really think that's the case? It felt to me that they actually did not like what they did. And speaking of feeding, there's a lot of chatter online about feeding SPS coral, different coral food. But again, a lot of it is somewhat anecdotal. And while I'm completely not questioning the legitimacy of this for large polyp corals, or even some corals that have very large mouths or even small mouths, with Acropora specifically, and this is the goal of today's video, to talk about Acropora. It's hasn't really been observed. I mean, there's a couple of maybe videos where you will see like a speck of something and it will retract, but it's actually does not mean that it actually consuming it or that it's better for it. And again, everything I'm talking about right now, this is my understanding to this particular moment of everything I've learned about this, and I'm trying to share this. But also, if you think that you have, first of all, a different opinion, but also if you can share some resources, I'd love to for this to be questioned. And at the end, the goal is not I'm trying to share my point of view, but also I'd like to move our understanding of coral husbandry further. That's my goal. So if you can question it, please do, and I really appreciate that. So just me anecdotally throwing something into the water column, I did not see that, oh wow, like it's actually better, let's do more of that. But that is the case. So let's go through some of the aspects of coral polyp extension, or the different criteria that I'm going to be focusing on. So let's first talk about parameters. I think by now we may all agree what kind of the average sweet spot parameters should be that is considered a happy path, meaning that it will get you probably where you want to go with your polyp extension. So basically your coral is going to be in a happy medium. This is what we're trying to hit. We don't want, to be too low or too high. So as long as we're in a happy medium, then at least we know that this is not our parameters. And the parameters are alkalinity roughly around 8. Some advocate 7.5, some want 8.5, but let's target 8. Magnesium is 1350, calcium around 420. And the big ones here are phosphates and nitrates. Lately, there's been a bit of a, I don't want to say a fad, but everybody's been talking about 1 to 100 to 1 ratio or Redfield ratio for nitrate and phosphate. But it's not necessarily really the case. And there have been I actually don't think that it's a gospel, but for whatever reason, we again going for that happy medium. So let us pick something similar. So say nitrates around 10 and phosphates will be 0.1. Again, that is the kind of agreed as a community. That's kind of the latest convention in terms of what is a good set of parameters. And this is what I'm going to be going for in my aquarium. And again, if you think there's something better, let's talk about it, and I can tweak it one way or the other. Now, the second thing is flow. Acropora do love strong flow, but you also don't want it to be direct. So you are not going straight into the tissue. You don't want this to be super constant, although again, I've had anecdotally different points of view from people that I respect very much. Some that were saying that you want a strong flow and constant flow, and some say that you need to give it a rest period, which for some reason makes a little bit more sense to me, especially for people that have sea swirl. Sea swirl is a mechanic device that will rotate throughout your tank, and while the current is strong, it will hit one coral, but very soon it will go away and come back, and you can mimic that through a gyre setting on your pump, for example. Now, I right now am in the camp of slightly varying the flow, but also you want it to be as random as possible. If you look at a lot of folks that have really great coral with polyp extension, you'll see that if you look from the top, the coral is not being just hit from one spot. It'll actually, the polyps will go from one direction, then the other, in all the directions. And if you have turbulent and random flow in the tank, that's actually how you are going to get this. So that is when it comes to flow. And even then, there is all these gradations. Like, do you program your MP40 to be 40% or 60% or 80% or 100%. And I will try to experiment with that. But again, if you make some suggestions, please do. That is when it comes to flow. The next one is going to be lighting. Now, for lighting, I think the sweet spot right now is roughly around 300 par. And let's keep in mind that different acropora like different type of light. Some are going to be light hungry and some not. So I'm just averaging out, and that is where you have to just observe your coral and figure out what it prefers more. But I'm going for roughly around 300 par, and it's going to be, I want to say, about a 10-hour day, but it will kind of be half an hour to an hour of a ramp up, then strong light at 300 par for about 3 hours, or maybe 4, maybe more with a wide spectrum in it. And then from that point on, after that 4 hours, it's slowly going to start coming down and turning more into the blue light. And I will share over the next few videos my schedule for my lighting. Keep in mind that my corals, you will, if you go to Instagram or even these shorts on YouTube, you will see that my colors, I think, are spot on. I don't think I've ever had colors as great. But my polyp extensions are, I would say, mediocre at best, but I want those polyps. And, this is exactly what we're going for. But I think that I'm already somewhat in that sweet spot. So that is the lighting. The next one that a lot of people swear by is trace elements, and I've heard it from many, many folks. And I know that quite a few of you guys and gals are on Moonshiner or some other method, and there is all the ICP, and there is different type of tests that you can do. I think I will do that, but I'll leave that to be kind of towards the end. I want to try a few more basic things first to make sure that these are not them. It just makes sense to me. And again, this is going to be part of that plan. But I'm leaving the traces maybe to do a month from now. And I'm probably going to do the Oceamo test. I already have one lined up. And I will document and do it. Now, speaking of, I guess, the more important pressing needs is pests. The pests is a big one, because if you do have pests, then probably everything else does not matter. And let me tell you that, having been in this hobby for such a long time, everybody has pests of different kind, like whether it's Aiptasia, whether it's what you consider a pest, the Asterinus starfish. That's a different story, but it's always a constant struggle of figuring out all the different creatures that you have in your aquarium. It's quite complex. But right now, I think we live in probably the best time when it comes to being a reefer. We, I think, finally have been able to eliminate acropora-eating flatworms. So there's tons of videos on that subject, and I think whatever I've seen before, like I haven't seen anything in any of my systems for many, many months now, and I'm extremely happy with that. Like I don't even remember what those bite marks look like, but I keep an eye on it, and so far, as I was observing the system over the past couple of months, I have never seen any eggs. I haven't seen any bite marks, and I've treated my system several times, so I'm pretty sure that I don't have any acropora-eating flatworms. When it comes to bugs, there's red bugs and white bugs and gray bugs, and it's a little bit more complex because while the red bugs were pretty easy to spot, Apparently those mythical white bugs and gray bugs are a lot harder. Some come out at night. What I've done is, again, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I would come down, I'd turn on the light, and I would turn over all the different colonies and look with a headlamp, magnifying glass, just to try and to find any of like creatures there of any kind. And I didn't really see any. I'd be lying to say that there was absolutely nothing. I think I've seen a speck or two of whatever. Was it a white bug or gray bug? I'm not sure. Maybe it was just like copypod. Some will say that there should never be any copypods on the surface of the tissue of a coral. I don't know. Having said that, I've done an interceptors treatment a few weeks ago, because a few folks on YouTube were saying that that's you, Alec, saying that you should just do it, and I did it. But even when I did it, I didn't see any difference. But then again, I've went and I did it one more time recently, just in case, and I doubled the dose. So like, think of it as I'm leaving no stone unturned. I want this video to be end all be all. Not this video, but the series of Polyp extension projects. So this is my 2025 goal. All right. So I didn't see any pests. I'm not sure what else I'm going to do. What I will do is I will get my macro camera, and I will be taking shots of all the different SPS, and I'll be posting them on Instagram, so up close, and we will all take a look, and you tell me if you see anything. So that's the idea. The handle on Instagram is same as here, Treasure Corals. Now, the next one is really interesting. This is fish. For fish, in my farm, I actually did catch my little file fish nipping at some of the polyps, and I did catch it and I removed it. So that could be something, but so far I haven't seen anybody else doing anything to the corals in my farm. My main tank is a little bit different. I have two dwarf angels in there, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but maybe I'll catch them or try to catch them, and then I'll focus on polyp extension. That's maybe the plan. So that is fish. The next one, so I'm just looking at my notes, is stability. A lot of folks are saying that stability is paramount when it comes to polyp extension. It kind of makes sense to me, but at the same time, I've also think of this as, let's say, cold plunge or exposing yourself to different temperatures. So I think that the corals will become more resilient when they can handle it. And historically, I have had, and if you go to aquaticlog.com, you will actually see my parameters for all my aquariums. And I've seen many swings in my systems over the many years, and sometimes they were catastrophic in terms of the swing, but most of the time I didn't see anything to happen to the coral. So my salinity could change by 2-3 points, parts per thousand, and not a problem. And same goes for my alkalinity and other parameters. So I think many SPS are more resilient than we give them credit for. I'll try to be as stable as possible, and I'll do a whole other video on that later on, but stability is key, I guess, and I'll try to do this. Again, no stone unturned. So that is really it. Oh, and finally feeding. Let's talk about feeding. So I already have mentioned that just throwing something in the water, I didn't see anything. I do not see any feeding response in my SPS. Like, again, forget about LPS and all of that good stuff. We're talking SPS at the moment. And with the SPS, I never saw any feeding response from Acropora ever. So I will do the following for the feeding. I have a fair amount of large fish and lots of fish, and I'll feed the fish first. I'll also try to maybe feed more frozen food because maybe there is some contaminants in the dry food or pellets. Although, again, recently I've seen a lot of videos where you have folks with amazing polyp extension in Acropora and they use pellets. So I don't think it's a big factor, but I will be feeding a lot as long as I can maintain a good export and have a good selection there. So always kind of hover around 0.1 phosphate. Again, nitrate are not a problem, and I can easily dose nitrates if I wanted to. And let's talk about the action plan. I've already been at it for a couple of weeks. I can't say I've seen too much of an improvement yet, but let's quickly go through that list, and I'll now say what I'm doing in my tank, and I will be recording and documenting this every few days so that, and I will take your input with this as well to get us there. I can be very stubborn sometimes to a fault, and this is one of those cases. Now, let's start also by saying that I have two separate systems, and they're pretty large systems. I have my display tank, which you've seen on many, many videos, but I also have a farm here in Toronto, Canada, where I aquaculture everything. And while I'll try to add or apply the same husbandry techniques to both, I will also maybe sometimes deviate a little bit and try two different things in two different systems to see if there's anything different. So flow, I think I've already tweaked in both. I'm trying to go as much random as possible. I predominantly try to use MP40s and some gyres, and I try to go for as much of a random reef crest mode as possible. So that is my flow. When it comes to parameters, I try to focus on that sweet spot that we've mentioned. And again, don't take just my word for it. If you go to aquaticlog.com and look at my aquarium, you can actually see every single parameter that I take or my Apex takes, and you can trace it back. So if you see any, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible when it comes to this, and I'm just using my aquatic log for all of those measurements. And speaking of aquatic log, there's a crazy change coming very soon. So let's see if you can. So this is the app that I make over here, and there's a crazy update that's coming to the app both on iPhone and Android. But that's my parameters, and that's why I had to mention it. And the next one is lighting. I think lighting wise, I'm pretty good. And keep in mind that my colors are, I think, phenomenal. So we can keep it. But if you are interested, I can talk more about this, and I can also tweak it. Like everything's on the table. One thing I forgot to mention is the DOC, so dissolved organic, I think, carbon, and also the use of GFO and carbon and all that stuff. And I don't do any of that. So I have large skimmers. I put in the air from the outside. My pH usually is about at least 8.1, but sometimes more. It starts at 8.1, and I'm getting to like 8.3, give or take. So this is the range, and I do very large water changes. So I believe in that, And I'm pretty sure that my organic amount is not that high. Now, I have two systems. One system has higher phosphates than the other. My farm already need to feed. It's 0.1 phosphate, but my display tank is slowly been coming down from 0.6 phosphate to now it's about 0.35, and it's slowly coming down. And I don't do any GFO, no carbon yet, no macroalgae, because it will compete with the trace elements, although I'd love to do some macroalgae just to bring down that phosphate. And that is my nutrient export and DOC and all of that stuff. So trace elements I'm going to leave to be the last thing. So we're not quite there yet. And I've explained kind of my rationale. I'm going to give it at least one or 2 weeks to just try a few other things. And nothing fast happens in this hobby, so I'm fairly patient as far as impatient reefers can be, and together we'll get there. Fish, in one system I already don't have any fish that can go after coral. The other one I probably will try to do something about the two angels. And I do have another filefish in there, so maybe it is going to have to go. I don't know yet. But at least I'm going to try to observe. And speaking of observation, I want to say that observation is going to be key here. I'm going to be looking at the tank regularly. I'm going to be looking at the corals regularly. I'm going to be taking videos and photos of everything. I'm going to be posting it because sometimes I may not see something that you will see. And I think this is very, very important, the observation. And there's probably a whole other video on that. What else? Pests. Maybe I'll do one more interceptor dose just for good measure, but and I'm going to probably before that I'm going to do a lot of macro shots to see if there's anything that I can find on any one of the coral, underneath, on top, etc. Just to do that. But I want to eliminate the pests as a variable, and I think that's it. And then then we'll see where it's gonna take me with my journey. That is where I'm at. So I'm excited. I think there's got to be a way to get there. I'm tired of going to Reef and other forums and seeing kind of almost the same advice, sometimes contradicting advice, but usually the threads die down and there is still nothing actionable there, where somebody starts the thread saying help me, and then a month later they go, oh yeah, great, you've given me great advice, and now look at my Polyp extension. Anyways, enough rambling for one day. I'm excited. I hope you are excited, and this is your opportunity to steer this whole experiment in one direction or the other. Please help. Share your thoughts. I will take all of your input and try to adjust. At the end, we are in 2025. There's all this great achievements and breakthroughs in everything, but I find that something as simple as Polyp extension and coral, or maybe not so simple, is still under that veil of uncertainty and mystique and mystery. So let's get this one done together, and I'll see you in the next video. And I promise in the next video there's going to be more I can do. You actually will get to see some funky corals and polyps and everything else. See you next time.